All right, hi guys. I had to just re-record this. I just recorded it. I'm so annoyed. Welcome to Winter's Thoughts. This tutorial is for Jeff the Killer. Right now, I am putting a white. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm using a headset, so I'm not sure if it's recording or not, but it's showing it is, so praying that it is. But anyway, I'm using the white NYC. No, it's not the NYC. It's the NYX Milk Jumbo Pencil and Milk, and I'm using that on my son's face to give him the white bleached cast that Jeff the Killer has. I'm going to link the Jeff the Killer, if I can find it, it's creepypasta below, so you guys can go watch it, read it, look at it, listen to it, however it goes with those, and see exactly who he's supposed to be. I will also try to link some pictures of him, Jeff the Killer, if I can. And so right now I'm just trying to whiten up his face, and he's telling me, I think you missed a spot. I'm like, well, don't worry, when I rub it in, we're going to get everything. We'll add more where we need it. And so he's being very patient. You know, it's hard for a teenage boy to be patient, but he was very excited about this costume. So I told him, I said, listen, you picked this, so you have to deal with it. So sorry if my arms get in the way. Sometimes I had to hold him still because he was very antsy. So he's just excited. Halloween, you know, kids and Halloween. So now I'm trying to get it all even and, you know, put around his face so that it looks like his skin's been, in the story, sadly, Jeff, before he becomes a killer, is attacked by some evil children and burnt, and his skin becomes bleached, and that's why there has such the white skin, and that's what we're working on right now, is the white skin. Shout out to my friend Renee, whose daughter is also doing this, and I hope she ends up doing a great job. I'm sure she will. Wish I was there to help. Anyway, still working on the NYX Jumbo Pencil and trying to get it even. I'm asking him, does this look okay? We're not doing his ears because we know we're going to have them covered with hair, and then the hoodie will pretty much push them, you know, hide them and push the hair forward. So now I'm putting a white eyeshadow over the already white eye pencil and trying to whiten it down even more so he has just that white kind of cast to him without looking, you know, too unreal, like clownish. The whole point is to make him look like a person that was bleached, not a clown. And I don't even know why I bothered going around the mouth. I just figured that it would add for better stickiness later when I was putting the other stuff. And then I will, after I put the eyeshadow, I'm going to put a, I think I put Tarte's, just their white powder, their oil absorbing powder over it to make sure that any oils in the skin get, you know, absorbed. And plus he's going to be out in the rain because it rained here terribly today, and I want to make sure that everything is waterproof. And as you can see, I didn't even bother to do my own hair. I just look like a ragamuffin because I was more worried about getting him done and taking care of him than myself, so I didn't even bother putting any makeup on. I just threw my hair back in a ponytail, and I was like, let's get this done. So I think I've already powdered him. I think I'm going to be working on his eyes now. Yep, I just had the Jordana black, and that's the milk pencil that I use. I almost used the entire thing up. He's holding it up for me, so you can see that it's the NYX Jumbo Pencil and Milk. And this is the Jordana 12-hour pencil, which is extremely, extremely waterproof. He actually came home. He's spending the night at a friend's house and had to come home to get his makeup off because I was the only one who knew how to remove it. So his friend's mom had no clue. So I was fine with that, and I just you know, used coconut oil basically. He had already ripped off some of the spirit gum and ended up tearing his face, so I don't advise doing that. If you use the spirit gum, use coconut oil or a remover to get it off. Don't just tear it off your face because it can actually tear your skin if it's on there tight enough. So I'm trying to get his eyes as dark as I can, because if somebody had ripped their eyelids off, they obviously are not going to have any kind of like brightness besides the white of their eyes. And I'm doing a little, kind of hollowing towards his nose so that it has kind of more of a. And I asked him, is this cool? Is this what you like? And he's like, yes. So, and I'm mixing a black and red matte shadows, so it has kind of more of that burnt look instead of having just a plain black solid look. I wanted it to have kind of that, if it had been burnt, it would have that ashy kind of burnt ember reddish look to it. With skin anyway. Probably not with paper, but skin is going to be more red. And here I'm using a cream or gel liner. I was going to use to do his waterline to make sure it's all black in there. I was just going, and I'm having him scrunch his eyes together really tight so that it gets the tight line without him having to have me do it, because he really hates that part a lot. So he's doing very well letting me get into his waterline today. The other day when we went through a test run, oh geez, it was horrible. But he seems to be better with the gel liner, so I'm like, just bear with me. You wanted the costume. And he's like, yes, I know. I just didn't think this part was going to suck so much. So I'm going over it with the shadow again to make sure it's all stable and nothing's going to wash off. And now I'm talking to him about how he wants me to do the smile, and he's pulling his hair back some more, and he's giving me his instructions on what he feels would be right. And I was like, okay, and making sure that everything was covered. And then I started with a lip liner, and then the tip broke off, so I moved on to a Jordana lip liner, which was retractable, the ones that you can just roll up and roll down, and it ended up working better anyway. It was a better color for this, more bloody looking. And I used this, I was just going to go with black, and I decided to use this because when I did the black the last time, it just seemed like it was needing a little like more 3D-ish, so I felt like this would give it more of that kind of ripped, bloody look that I was, going for, since Jeff the Killer cut his own smile into his face after he lost his mind because of what had happened to him. So I decided that I asked my son, I said, how I was thinking this would work better for us, and he said, yeah, go for it. He just trusted me, so that was cool. And he didn't want me to do it too evenly because he didn't want it to look unrealistic, and he knew that somebody couldn't cut, their face completely evenly, so he was like, don't do it too perfect, Mom. It was pretty cool. He was a really good, he's very fun to work on. And he's just such a ham and just such a great personality that it was fun. We had fun joking around and doing this. And then I was using the spirit gum and just regular tissues. I actually used the cool, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but I think they're by Kleenex, and then they're the cool ones. They actually have a cool sensation. I just ripped them into thirds, and I just used a third at a time, and used the spirit gum here, and then you make it tacky by tapping it repeatedly, like over and over again, until it's pulling strings up. And then once you get the strings coming up, then you put the tissue or whatever you're using. If you're using a prosthetic or whatever, my son would never be able to handle having a prosthetic on his face for long, so I knew this was going to come off within a couple hours and didn't want to waste the money on all that. So I knew I could do this pretty much the same effect with tissues, so he was being goofy about having a tissue face, and how about I could just go across with the rest of it and he could be a crazy, I think he said Hindu wife or something. He was just being silly. But yeah, so I was looking for my scissors that somebody had taken, in case you're wondering what I'm doing there. And then I just had to end up ripping it, which ended up actually giving it a better look, because it, and here I'm using they're actually for, thinning hair out. My one son has very thick hair, so I use them to thin his hair out sometimes. But I use those to give it kind of a rough look on the edges instead of just a straight cut. And then I'm darkening it up around his mouth so it has kind of that bruised sort of, I just cut my face open sort of look. And he is being very patient about this, because this part really sucked. I know that the spirit gum was uncomfortable for him in a couple of areas. So, and he was he put the brush down and he couldn't find where he put it, so we had to go look for it. But we found it, so it was all good. And we got the tackiness going on again, and by this point it was pretty tacky, so we didn't have to work too hard. And I was trying to be very careful around his mouth because I didn't want him to get any of the spirit gum in his mouth, because ours didn't say if it was toxic or not, but I wasn't taking any chances with my kid. So here I am just trying to trim it up, and he's asking me a couple questions like, well, how are we going to do the blood, blah, 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 and I was trying to explain it to him, and he's pretty excited about it, and he was having a lot of fun, and I was explaining to him, do you want me to give you the bruised around the mouth look like as if you were, like cut and it was bruises still, or do you want it to look more like it's an older cut? And he's like, no, I want it to look like I just did it, like I just went crazy. So we gave it the bruised kind of around the mouth look, and he's already getting into character. He is a character, that one. He was in a play in school, The Breakfast Club, and he got actor of the he won the best actor of the play award, so I was extremely proud of him. He's got an amazing amount of talent. I tell him you should start your own YouTube channel and do skits on it, because you're very funny and you have a lot of talent. And he's trying to talk his brother, who's much shyer, into doing it, so fingers crossed. I think they'd be really good at it. I hope one day he maybe tries out and decides to go for acting, because I think he'd do fabulous at it. So we're just still cutting along, trying to get the tissue right, and I'm trying to leave it enough that the blood saturates it and gives it that rolled sort of skin at the edges look, and but I don't want to get a lot of blood or spirit come in his mouth, so I'm trying to be real careful. And of course, being a teenage boy, he's like, just do it, Mom, I don't care, it's not going to be toxic. Sure, nothing's ever toxic, right, until it is. But yeah, so I'm just darkening that up, and then I believe we're going to start working with the blood after I get this piece done, which ended up staining my hand. My hand is completely stained up with blood because I didn't have any kind of primer on. Like I kind of double primed him because I knew it had its stains. So he was lucky. He was the lucky one. I'm still wearing, my hand is still covered in blood. Well, it looks like old blood that dried now. I washed it. It's got that stain kind of thing going on. But yeah, I'm darkening up once again, trying to give him that bruised lips kind of crazy person cut their face open, bruised around it look. And then I'm going to add blood, because like I said, we went with just did the cutting kind of way, and then his brother came in because he wanted to see it, so he was like trying to sneak in here, so I didn't care because I was like, come on in, Nate, you can see your brother. And he was excited. He kept saying, come on, let's hurry up, I want to go. So Nathan wasn't being anything as dramatic that took as much work. I couldn't even imagine if I had to do this twice. I don't think I could have. I don't think I'd have I think my butt would fall off from sitting there. But yeah, Zach he was pretty good about it. He, kept up with the letting me do what I needed to do, and he definitely kept up with the character and the acting silly and making me laugh. But so I used a makeup brush here. It's a Real Techniques, their foundation brush, their thin foundation brush. I used that to put the blood on because I didn't want to just squirt it all over the place. I didn't want it to get all over the place on him. And here I'm trying to get it around his eye without getting it in his eye, because like I said, the guy, Jeff the Killer, cuts his eyelids off, or I think he burns them off actually, so we gave it kind of a bloody sort of, as it dried, it had a more, it had an eerie look to it, and here we decided to give him a bloody tear, whereas if you burnt your eyelids off, it would be, And here we're brushing his hair out, and I asked him how do you like it, and he liked it. So now I'm doing black hairspray because Jeff the Killer has black hair. Zach's hair is dark brown, but we wanted to get it as close to black as we could. And we didn't do all of it since he was going to be going out in the rain and he was going to have a hoodie on. And we thought, well, let's not have too much of it dripping down since a white hoodie. So here he is, the final picture of Jeff the Killer. What do you think, guys? Pretty good, huh? Hope you enjoyed this. Happy Halloween.